everyone. Thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Randles-Friedman, and today we have a packed agenda. This is the podcast where we break down the biggest LGBTQ stories shaping our world right now. This is one episode where you're really going to feel the weight of what's happening globally. We're talking about sports, politics, identity, religion, visibility, and the ongoing push and pull between progress and backlash. Some of these stories are going to frustrate you, some might inspire you, and a few might remind you why this fight still matters. So let's get into it, where the Olympic Committee bans trans women from women's sports. So we're starting with a major global news that is breaking now. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, has announced a sweeping news policy that will ban trans women and many intersex athletes from competing in women's Olympic events. This isn't just a guideline, it's an eligibility rule. Athletes will now be required to undergo testing for what's called the SRY gene, which is associated with the development of the Y chromosome. If that gene is detected, the athlete will not be eligible to compete in the women's categories. And that's where this becomes deeply controversial, because critics argue this policy doesn't just target elite athletes, it fundamentally redefines who is allowed to exist in women's sports at all. Supporters claim it's about fairness and competitive balance, but opponents say it's about exclusion, and it ignores the complexity of sex, gender, and biology. And here's the bigger context. This move aligns closely with the political efforts we've been seeing in the United States, particularly leading to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. And this isn't just about sports, it's about policy, politics, and the global direction of transgender rights. Next, Girl Guiding UK excludes trans girls. So in the UK, this one especially hits hard because it involves young people. Girl Guiding is the UK's largest youth organization for girls, similar to Girl Scouts and Brownies in the United States, has announced that the transgender girls will no longer be allowed to participate in the program. And this isn't just a gradual shift. Current members have been told they will need to leave within 6 months. Think about that for a second. Young people, kids who have joined a group designed to build confidence, friendships, and identity are now being told they don't belong. Leadership said this is a policy about clarity and safety, but critics say it's a dangerous message, that inclusion is conditional. For many LGBTQ plus advocates, this is a part of a broader pattern where institutions that once positioned themselves as being inclusive are now pulling back. Now we go to Dallas, where they remove pride crosswalks and community pushes back. In Dallas, where a little over visibility is playing out in real time. Now to Dallas, Texas, where a battle over visibility is playing out in real time. The Texas Department of Transportation has begun removing Rainbow Pride and Black Lives Matter crosswalks, claiming that they pose traffic safety risk. But for many in the community, this feels something else entirely different. These crosswalks aren't just paint, they were symbols of identity, presence, and belonging. And when they started disappearing, the community has responded. 25-year-old Joseph Whiteside was arrested after attempting to restore one of the crosswalks using spray paint and chalk. Yes, now he is facing charges, but many are calling him a hero. And what's happening next is even more important. Local LGBTQ plus businesses are organizing a campaign for bold, permanent, and undeniable visibility. Because if history tells us anything, it's this: erasing visibility doesn't erase people. Our next story is non-binary doctor sues New York City health system. In New York City, a lawsuit is shining a spotlight on workplace discrimination and healthcare. A non-binary doctor has filed suit against New York City Health and hospitals, alleging they were told to hide their identity and pronouns as a condition of their employment. According to the complaint, this wasn't a suggestion, this was an expectation tied to their role as a medical professional. And that raises serious legal and ethical questions, because healthcare systems are supposed to be spaces of care, inclusion, and trust. Instead, this case suggests that even within progressive cities like New York, LGBTQ plus professionals are still being asked to make themselves smaller just to fit in. This case has set a precedent, especially as a non-binary professional push for visibility and protection in the workplace. Now a story out of Florida that's difficult but important. A 41-year-old woman has been arrested after allegedly attacking a young family member with a knife after discovering his messages about his sexuality. The child reported the incident to a teacher, which likely prevented something even worse. And this is what the part we can't ignore. When rhetoric around LGBTQ plus identities become more hostile, when laws and policies signal rejection, it doesn't stay in politics, it shows up in homes and families and moments like this. And that's why visibility, education, and acceptance aren't just nice to have, they are life-saving. Because this 41-year-old woman was going to cut this child's penis off because of his sexuality messages that she found. Insane. Next, Democrats flip key Florida district. So let's shift gears into something politically significant. In Florida, Democratic candidate Emily Gregory flipped a district that had been solidly Republican, defeating a Trump-endorsed candidate in an area that includes Mar-a-Lago. The district wasn't supposed to flip. It had a strong Republican margins in previous elections. So what changed? That's the question political analysts are now asking. Because wins like this suggest that voter sentiment, even in conservative strongholds, may be shifting. And that has implications far beyond one district. I want to continue the news in just a moment, but I want to tell you a quick message about Mint Mobile. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can actually see it. And fortunately, big wireless companies, they seem to be wanting to keep my money too. For years, I was overpaying, crazy high bills, random fees popping up out of nowhere, and those free perks somehow made my bill even higher. It got to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? That's when I switched to Mint Mobile, and honestly, I wish I did it sooner. My old carrier had me locked into an expensive plan, and now I'm paying way less every month with the same, if not better, service. The coverage has been solid, calls are clear, data is fast. I genuinely haven't noticed a downside, except my bill is way lower. Mint Mobile is here to fix everything that's broken with wireless. Plans start at just $15 a month, and you get high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and all on the nation's largest 5G network. And the best part, you can keep your phone, you can keep your number, and you can switch over in minutes with eSIM, and there are no long-term contracts. I use this, and you should too. I'm saving a ton of money every month, and I'm not sacrificing quality at all. You should check out Mint Mobile. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/listenup. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/listenup. That's mintmobile.com/listenup. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only, then full price options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com for more information. Next story is AFL player comes out and representation matters. Now, a moment that feels quiet but powerful. Leigh Ryswyk, a former AFL player, has publicly come out as gay, becoming the first male athlete in the league's history to do so. He shared that he's actually been out privately for years, but chose to go public. And why? He answered this was simple. Why not? And honestly, that simplicity is what makes this so meaningful. Because visibility doesn't always come with a headline moment. Sometimes it comes with someone deciding they're ready to be seen. And I am so proud of these athletes that do this. So congratulations, Leigh, for being able to be your authentic self. I love it. Next, India rolls back trans rights. In India, a major legislative change is sparking outrage. A new bill removes the rights for transgender people to self-identify, instead requiring approval from a medical board government official. Critics say this creates barriers, delays, and unnecessary gatekeeping around identity. And more importantly, it contradicts India's own Supreme Court ruling that recognized the right to self-identification. Opposition leaders are calling it a step backwards. Advocates are calling it erasure, and protests are already underway. Our next story is a bookstore protest and activism with an edge. In the United Kingdom, a trans-owned bookstore is taking a bold and very unconventional approach to activism. They're inviting customers to deface Potter books for a small fee, with proceeds going towards trans healthcare. Now, yes, this is controversial, but it's also intentional. It's a protest, it's fundraising, and it's a statement. And whether people agree or disagree, it is getting attention. So I say go for it, because the Harry Potter author is just a villain in her own self. So next, Vivian Wilson flips the narrative. Vivian Wilson is once again turning headlines into impact. She's selling merchandise featuring the phrase evil woke mind virus, a phrase used by her father, Elon Musk. But instead of ignoring it, she is reclaiming it and donating a portion of the proceeds to the Trevor Project. It's sharp, it's strategic, and it's a reminder that the narrative power matters. Next, building new spaces, tennis with friends. In Las Vegas, a group of women has created a tennis league specifically designed to be inclusive of trans women. It's called Tennis with Friends, and it was built in response to a growing exclusion in traditional leagues. And this story hits on something important. When systems shut out people out, communities continue to build new ones. I love that story. That is such a positive story to end this newscast. Tennis with Friends, amazing. And that's today's episode of Listen Up, Girl. And if today's stories show us anything, it's this. We are living in a moment of tension where progress and pushbacks are happening at the same time. But even in tension, there's resilience. There's resistance, and then there's community. If you enjoyed this episode, and make sure to follow, share, and leave a review. And remember, stay informed, stay loud, and stay proud. I'll see you tomorrow with more LGBTQ+ news. Thanks for listening.